We're going to discuss factoring trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. We'll start with the case when a equals 1. When a equals 1, ax squared plus bx plus c becomes just x squared plus bx plus c. And our goal is to factor this and write this as a product x plus or minus x1, x plus or minus x2. So we need to find those two numbers x1 and x2 such that the product of x1 and x2 is c and the sum of x1 plus x2 is b. So when you factor them, it'll be like this: x plus x1, x plus x2. So you have a polynomial like this and you want to turn it like this. The first example we're going to do is factor x squared plus 8x plus 15. Well, we need to look for two numbers with product 15 and sum 8. And those two numbers are 3 and 5 or 5 and 3. So you can write plus 3 here, plus 5. Let us check. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 plus 5 is 8. You can also write it like this, or you can write the 3 before the 5 or the 5 before the 3. Second example, we have x squared plus 10x plus 24. Let's look at the third example also. We have 24 here. So we need two numbers with product 24, but this time the sum is 10, but in example 2 or 3, the sum is 11. So the answer is going to be different. Now the numbers here are 6 and 4, because 6 plus 4 is 10. But here it's 8 and 3 or 3 and 8. So we're going to write x plus x plus. So it'll be 3 and 8. X plus 3, x plus 8. You can check every one of these by multiplying, by foiling. So if you multiply this out, you'll end up with x squared, check, plus 8x plus 3x plus 3 times 8, which is 24. And then 8x plus 3x will give you the 11x. So x squared plus 11x plus 24, which is what you started out with. X squared plus 10x minus 24. We need two numbers with products minus 24 and with sum plus 10. So this time the product is negative. Therefore, one of those numbers is going to be negative. So it's going to be 12 times 2. But is it minus 12 plus 2 or is it plus 12 minus 2? Well, let's see. Plus 12 minus 2 will give you plus 10. So it's plus 12 minus 2. In the next example, we have a minus 10 here. Everything else is the same. So it will still be 12 and 2. But this time it will be negative 12 and plus 2. And the difference between these two examples is the middle term. Negative 12 plus 2 will give you minus 10. For this example here, we need two numbers with product minus 35 and sum minus 2. So it will be 7 and 5. But will it be plus 7 minus 5? The answer is no, because plus 7 minus 5 will give you plus 2. So it will be minus 7 plus 5. So it's 7 and 5, but it's minus 7 plus 5. And if you check this by multiplication, you should get x squared minus 2x minus 35. Here we have 10x plus 16. So we need two numbers with product 16. It's not 4 and 4, because 4 plus 4 does not give you 10. It'll be 2 and 8. And they're both positive. 2 plus 8 is 10. 2 minus 8, 2 times 8 is 16. So it's 2 and 8. In this example, we have 16 also, but this time it'll be 4 and 4. Why? Because 4 plus 4 is 8. But when you have a situation like this, x plus 4 times x plus 4, we don't have to do this next step. But if we did it, this is like having x plus 4 times itself. So x plus 4 squared. This is called the perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. Okay, a perfect square trinomial is a trinomial of that form. Something squared. Here's another one. x squared plus or minus 14x plus 49. It could have been a plus, it would have worked. If it's a minus, it'll be minus 7 times minus 7. If this was a plus, then you would have plus 7 plus 7. But in each case, in any case, this is x minus 7 squared. And this is another perfect square trinomial. What about the case when a is not equal to 1? The first coefficient here. Well, when a is not equal to 1, there's one method. There's a couple of methods, but we're going to go over one for factoring these. First step is multiply a times c. And then look for two numbers with product AC and sum b. It's the same sort of thing that we did earlier, but instead of looking at c alone, we're looking at the product a times c. Let's call those two numbers h and k. The product of hk is a times c. The sum of h and k is b. Okay, so here's what we started out with. Okay, ax squared c. The middle term is going to be split up as a sum, hx plus kx, or kx plus hx. Does it matter which one you do? The answer is no. And then what you do when you do this, you take the first two terms and you factor by grouping. Take the next two terms and factor by grouping and join the two groups. So to repeat, multiply a by c. Whatever that product is, look for two numbers with products that number. And then the sum of those two numbers must be b. Let's call those two numbers h and k, and then you split up the middle term. This is called middle term splitting. But sometimes we don't have to even do this. Sometimes b and c are multiples of a. For example, 3, 6, 12. Well, if that's the case, then you can factor out an a. So here it is. Sometimes b and c are multiples of a. So factor out that a, and then you write the polynomial that's left. And then you factor this polynomial, just like we did before. And here's an example. Factor 3x squared minus 24x plus 45. So 24 and 45 are both divisible by 3. So take out a 3. It'll be 3 parentheses, that leaves us with x squared. Minus 24 divided by 3 is minus 8. Plus 45 over 3 is plus 15. So now the 3 is out, and we factor this polynomial, which starts with a 1. So we're looking for two numbers with products 15 and sum minus 8. And those will be minus 3 and minus 5. So this is done without having to use the middle term splitting method. But if these two numbers are not multiples of this number, then we can't just factor like this. We'd have to use the middle term splitting. And here's an example of middle term splitting. Factor 6x squared minus 19x plus 15. Well, 19 is not divisible by 6. So, and same thing with 15. So what we do, multiply 6 times 15, which gives you 90. Now we need to split up 90. Write 90 as a product of two numbers. It could be 1 times 90, or 2 times 45, or 3 times 30. If you're not sure, divide 90 by 2. Divide 90 by 3, that gives you 30. Divide 90 by 5, that gives you 18. Divide 90 by 6, that gives you 15. Divide 90 by 9, and that gives you 10. Okay, figure out which of these groups will give you minus 19 or can give you minus 19. And the answer is 9 and 10. Okay, so the first term is 6x squared, you just bring it down. The last term is 15, you just bring it down. Minus 19x will split it up. We'll write it using 9 and 10. So we'll write it as negative 9x minus 10x. We could also write it as minus 10x minus 9x. And I'll tell you what the difference in the end would be if we did that. Take the first two terms here, take out an x and a 3, so that's 3x. 3x times what gives you 6x squared? The answer is 2x. 3x times negative 3 will give you minus 9x. And here take out the negative 5. So when you do negative 5 times what gives you minus 10x, and it's 2x. Negative 5 times what gives you plus 15, and that's minus 3. So we have 2x minus 3 here, 2x minus 3 here. That's grouping. Take out 2x minus 3, and that leaves us with 3x minus 5. Okay. If somebody had written this as minus 10x minus 9x, then the answer would have been 3x minus 5 times 2x minus 3, which is exactly the same as this. This is why it doesn't matter when you split up the middle term which term you put first, the 9 or the 10, or the 10 or the 9.